In today's video, we will be looking at some true horror stories that are guaranteed to keep you up at night. From terrifying creatures to evil humans, these horror stories are guaranteed to make your blood run cold. So if you can, make sure to have your lights on before watching this video. True Horror, Part 1. The first story is called The Monkey Man. It comes from a Reddit user. I was working in a psychiatric hospital as a young nurse. One of my patients was an old woman who had been committed after killing her niece's boyfriend. She had done so in self-defense, but she was deemed to have killed in a state of diminished capacity. Now, this was the 80s, and the hospital was old and run down. It was understaffed, and most of the nurses and orderlies were burnt out. Most of the patients were left alone for most of the day, with only the most basic of care being provided. The hospital food was terrible, and most of the patients preferred to eat the meals provided by their families rather than the slop served up by the kitchen staff. One evening, one of the orderlies came running into the nurse's station in a panic. He was visibly shaking and could barely get out the words. "Monkey Man," he said. "Monkey Man in the attic." We all thought he was having some sort of psychotic break and tried to calm him down. Eventually, he went back to work without really explaining anything. For the next few days, we all heard scratching sounds in the attic above us. At first, we just assumed it was mice. However, the scratching continued day and night and became more aggressive. One night, I was awakened in my on-call room by a blood-curdling scream. I rushed to the nurse's station and called for a code blue. As I ran down the hallway, I could hear what sounded like a man screeching in pain. I reached the old woman's room just as the orderly was entering it. He looked shaken, but relieved to see me. I could hear the scratching in the attic above us and knew we had to get out of there. We rushed to my car and he dropped me off at the nurse's station. As I walked away, I looked back at the hospital and saw a dark shape drop from the ceiling onto the roof of the car I had just been sitting in. I never saw the Monkey Man again, but the scratching in the attic continued for weeks. One day, a maintenance worker came up to me while I was on break and asked me if I had seen the new trap they had set in the attic. I told him no, and he warned me not to go up there under any circumstances. Apparently, the trap had been sprung, and whatever was in the attic was still at large. The old woman was transferred to another facility a few months later. To this day, I have no idea what was in that attic. If you love scary stories, then stay tuned because we have many more videos like this one coming up. Now for the next story, we go to Reddit user, life events that will keep you up at night. I was driving home from a long trip and decided to take the scenic route through the mountains. It was late at night and there wasn't much traffic. I was enjoying the drive when suddenly my car started to feel like it was going downhill even though I was on a flat road. At first, I thought it might be a trick of the light. But then I realized that my car was actually rolling backwards. I slammed on the brakes and turned the engine off. I was horrified to realize that my car was moving backwards without me touching the gas pedal. I tried to start the car again, but it wouldn't turn over. I was terrified and didn't know what to do. Then I remembered seeing a gas station off in the distance. I started running towards it, praying that I would make it before my car rolled too far. I don't know how long I ran or how far I traveled, but eventually I saw the lights of the gas station in the distance. With renewed hope, I started running faster. When I finally reached the gas station, I was shaking and out of breath. I stumbled inside and collapsed in a chair. People stared at me strangely, but I was too scared to explain what had happened. I sat there for what felt like hours, watching my car slowly roll backwards towards the edge of the road. Eventually, I got my car back and drove home. I still don't know what caused my car to roll backwards that night, but I'm convinced it was a miracle that I made it to the gas station in time. Now it's time for your bedtime story.